All right. Yes. Let's talk this boxing. Oh, it's so exciting. What's going on, man? Good stuff happening in the sport of boxing. Good stuff. But let me make sure that you guys hear me first. Wait for this thing to come up. What's good with everybody, man? This is just some interesting stuff. Shout out to the people. Make sure I can be heard. All right. I can be heard. All right. Let's get into this, man. What is good? What is good? What is good? Y'all hit the like button on the way in. Thomas McDonald, what's going on, man? Tay Brown, Jimmy Bernard, Black Alpha in the building, King Dale McCrae, lowest common denominator boxing, home of the demographic in the building. Says salute to Fannon the Don, salute to the LDBC, and salute to everyone in the chat. Now smash that like button. And thank you for that excellent grammar, except for the fact that you forgot to capitalize salute. Now I'm just joking. But what's going on, man? What's going on, man? Forever a slap in the face of Dougie Fisher. Jimmy Bernard in the building. What's going on, man? Salute to you. Salute to you, Black Alpha. Salute to you, King Daniel McCrae. Easy Lewin, yes, sir. Same to you, sir. Salute to you. Thomas McDonald at 11 o'clock, a half an hour ago. I would read that comment, but he said, I said right after the fight, I don't think he wanted to get knocked out. That wasn't a bone-breaking jab to the stomach. Rolling like that was an overkill. Nah, his ass got overkilled. Salute to you. What's going on, BG? What's going on, God's greatest? Oh, man, God's greatest. Yes, it is. I'm good, man. I'm good. What's going on with you? Just chilling, trying to get better in life, still learning all those good things, enjoying this boxing, having all these fun conversations, people sending me emails and texts. It's fun, man. Thank you guys so much for your emails, for your questions over in the emails. Thank you for your questions on Twitter, your questions in the comment section. You know, thank you very much, man. When I get really going on Instagram, I'll be saying thank you for that. But I got to figure out what the forum, how to do that best, man. So some of y'all are actually saying that you guys think that this fight with Rosario was fixed. Well, let's look at it. Let's look at the circumstance. We'll go into that because I think that it is important to go over it in a fair and balanced manner. No need to jump to conclusions and say that it's ridiculous. No need whatsoever to go over it and say that is ridiculous. You just have to look at the facts. You have to look at the facts and then make the decision about whether or not you think it was fixed or not. Okay? And I think we owe it. To the situation to look at it seriously. Because you don't want to go and say, oh, no, that's not possible. You're just hating. Because that's what they did for Deontay Wilder. If somebody accuses somebody of cheating, you got to look at it seriously. That's what we're at. That's what we asked for Deontay Wilder. So that's what we got to do for this. Maybe Jason Rosario did throw the fight. Let's evaluate. Show me the proof. Show me the proof. And I will look at the proof. And if the proof, what you say the proof is, and once you show me what the proof is, then I'll say, okay, I believe or I don't believe. What you're not going to get me to do is just say it's not true when people are saying it's happening without even looking at it. Not going to happen over here, dog. Not going to happen over here. See, and you know why I say it's so important to make sure that you know that you take this viewpoint? Let's quiz the class. Why is it important that we take that viewpoint? That you must evaluate it and see whether or not there is anything to substantiate the accusation that Jeisen Rosario took a dive. Tony R says, I don't blink, it was fixed. That's not what I asked. What I asked today was, why is it important that we acknowledge and we look at it seriously? See, Ali Goff said the fight was not fixed. Who would want to lose their belts in that way? No fix, decabs out here. Look, I can't say that there's no fix. Shit, somebody might fix it who gambled on it. Fights get fixed in boxing. It's true. Just because somebody you don't like says it doesn't mean it's not true. It is true. Fights have been fixed in boxing. I can't just offhand say that Jeisen Rosario didn't take a dive, because it was very unusual that he got knocked out with that body jab, with that jab to the body. Right? But why is it? Let me tell you, because ain't nobody told me why it's so important that you have to take that seriously. And it's several reasons. What's going on, Thrill Hill? Salute to you, sir. Abu Hoob Ha-Fa said, Fannon, please. Please what? I asked why it's important to take accusations seriously. I didn't tell you why I think it is, or even if I just asked you why you think that it is. I haven't given my opinion on whether or not I think that Jermell Charlo versus Jeisen Rosario is what's going on, Matthew Valentine, Tay Brown, baby, what's happening? What's happening in? What's happening in it? I just asked why. I don't see it, right? I don't see it. Critical thinking, you need to examine evidence, says Stoneman 101. Stoneman 01 said critical thinking says you need to examine the evidence. That is true. But more importantly, it's because this is why I'm doing it. I like that, Tay. Keep on chilling. Stoneman 01. Let me answer the question. This is the answer that I'm looking for. Yeah, walk them right into your point. I am. John H. Way said it because it's real and possible. That's another reason why we should, always. And that's why I did it for Deontay Wilder and Glovegate 1 and Glovegate 2. That's why I took it seriously. For the same reason that these people who are making these accusations, you take the accusation seriously. And then it's upon them, since they're making the accusation, to show you exactly why you believe that, why they believe that to be the truth. That's on them to do. So that's what people did for Glovegate. They showed what's going on. Vive to vida says salute to Fannon, the best in the business, man. I appreciate you. We doing the best we can. I'll say that. A lot of excellent people out here, man. But I'm going to try my best. So in the spirit of trying my best, that's why you had to take that stuff. You can't tell somebody that they should take seriously Tyson Fury cheating and then just offhand brush off the fact that a fighter that you like could be cheating, because that would make you look like a hypocrite. And above all things, avoid being a hypocrite. Okay? Being a hypocrite is one of the more shady, fucked up personality traits that there are. Being a hypocrite, because then you're just a liar. You know what I mean? So nah, dude. Yeah, show me the proof. So that's why I'm saying first and foremost, we must establish that this is a serious question. And you will not have me just blow that off. Now, let's look at the case based on the facts that we know right now. Why the jab to the stomach and the fact that he wrenched in pain, right? Got hit with a jab to the stomach and was wrenching in pain, right? That's why you think the fight was fixed? Well, Jeisen Rosario had already been knocked out several fights before by Nathaniel Gallimore. Was that fixed? Because he got knocked out by Nathaniel Gallimore. People came into the fight knowing that he had a problem with his chin. Also, body shots making people writhe in pain. Are you serious? What about Canelo Alvarez when he crippled? I know I've seen Canelo Alvarez just straight cripple somebody, but I saw that man's stomach just convulsing. I don't see why people would think he couldn't get knocked out with a shot to the body after all that punishment that he had been taking. And that consistent body attack. And from a guy that has what, like, how many knockouts a row does he have? You know, or out of 10 rather, because I know he didn't knock out Tony Harrison against a knockout artist with a shot to the body. You know, maybe he was just weak to the body. I think a more viable explanation is that Jeisen Rosario was an up-and-coming fighter and who was good offensively, but could give it, but couldn't take it. And even if he did take a dive, it wouldn't have mattered. He got his ass whooped thoroughly. So what's the difference, right? He was way down on the cards too. He had already been knocked down 2 times. Maybe he didn't want no more, but that doesn't say anything about Jermell Charlo. But if you, like I said, if anybody out there believes that that's true, show me the proof. I don't see anything that would lead me to believe that. But I look forward to somebody showing me the proof. Like people showed you very often in great detail for sometimes, like with BFTB, weeks at a time, you know what I mean? Seemed like months at the time. Shout out to Young Pharaoh. I think he has like hours of footage on that, dog. A Paragon Immortal said, Fannon, mobilize army, create a Jermell versus Plant buzz. Nah, man. Nope, I can't mobilize armies. And I don't really care about that fight. I want to see Jermell Charlo fight Canelo. I don't need no more half-baked crook. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need any more half-baked shit. That shit sounds half-baked. Like, because ain't nobody asking for Jermell Charlo versus Caleb Plant. You know what I mean? That's kind of like, ooh, if we got it, I might watch it. But nah, man, people want to see Caleb Plant fight David Benavidez. Straighten your dome up, David Benavidez. And Jermell Charlo, should be fighting Canelo Alvarez. It's just what it is. Make it happen. I don't need any of this cross-weight shit. I ain't going to bat for no bullshit. I don't go for the bat for that. Y'all be on that bullshit. I'm not on that bullshit. And you don't want that bullshit. You don't want that bullshit. I want people to fight the people in their weight classes until those shits is cleaned out. Okay. Canelo Alvarez moving up to heavyweight to fight Dave Allen in the UK. I don't give a shit anything about that fight. Okay. Ooh, it's a great momentous thing. Canelo is fighting Dave Allen in the UK at heavyweight. He wins. Man, get the fuck up out of here, man. You're a 160-pound fighter. Fight a fast, strong, evenly balanced fighter like Jermell Charlo. Okay? Not some one-dimensional ass dude that if you can stay away from one thing, you win the fight. No, not that. Like Kovalev. All he had to do is stay away from Kovalev hitting him with the right hand, and that fight was going to be won. Right? No, that ain't the case with Jermell Charlo, man. I don't want no more. But look, man, what's going on? Keith Sims in the building. Thank you, sir, for showing up to the chat. And with the super chat, thank you for holding it down, man. Drink More Water said, you take it serious, but the burden of proof is on the accuser. Absolutely. So come forth with ye's videos. Come forth with ye evidence that it happened. Have somebody in the camp of like, for example, Glovegate. Have video fucking proof of him doing some, not no shit where he looks like he's nodding off. And let me get on the person that started this horse shit, by the way. Let me pause for a second and get on the person that started this horse shit. The media. Dog, the boxing media are trolls. Straight up and down, dog. I am now convinced 100% that the boxing media, the mainstream boxing media by and large, are trolls. They're just trolls. They get paid. They get paid to support certain promoters. But if they could write for any other sport, they would be writing for another sport. But by and large, they're trolls. The guy that wrote that article over there on that news, on that, dog, you listen to my shit all the time because you steal my shit all the time, dog. You steal my shit all the time. But your name shall not be mentioned. But dog, you steal my shit all the time. It's just silly. Stop, dog. The shit is obvious as the fuck that you be out here stealing people in the LDBC shit and switching it over and doing all kind of other shit, dude. I ain't even gonna say the name of your chat, dog, but you a fucking troll, man. That shit he be writing on that website that people put out on videos is straight troll shit. It's straight troll shit. Straight troll shit. And they be in the comment section getting trolled. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, that's the type of people that are on those websites. It's just not, there aren't just trolls that are out there, doing YouTube videos. There are trolls that have websites. There are trolls that work for major boxing outlets, like Steve Kim. It's a fucking troll. Like, every time that I think that I've come anywhere near that dude, I smell troll. Like, Twitter, it's a fucking troll. He even, retweets trolls. Like, if this dude is on his, alias that's not his name, this dude's out here trolling. They are. You just have to believe. I thoroughly believe they are. So to even though the article just said somebody out in the universe wonders if there was, if he looked like, what was the fucking stupidity? He looked like he was nodding in the camp. Yeah, he looked like he was nodding in the corner. Yeah, he looked like he was nodding in the corner, all right. Quiet as kept. He looked like he wanted to nod off in the middle of the ring a couple times when his ass got hit upside the fucking head. What are you talking about? That is clown shit. That is clown straight troll shit. The whole article was troll shit. It wasn't saying that there was any real evidence out of there. And also, that's just another one of them places, like these trolls, that they didn't report anything about Glovegate except for people recanting Glovegate. These are the same fucking trolls. These are just a fucking group of trolls. And seriously, man, if we're going to do away with the belts, let's do away with the fucking idea that some of these media dudes ain't just fucking trolls on big platforms. The fuck out of here. Max Kellerman, you really fucking think Manny Pacquiao was the greatest fighter in fucking since 2000 and his ass got laid flat fucking on his face? Flat the fuck out on his face by Juan Manuel Marquez, and beaten easily by Floyd Mayweather Jr., but he's the greatest fighter of the century? The fuck are you on? Troll shit is what you're on. Because you don't believe that shit. You just out there fucking pandering. You out there pandering to your boys at your golf club. That's what you're doing. You don't want to be, hey man, in my personal opinion, they don't want to be the nigga lover at the fucking golf club. Okay? That's what the fuck them dudes are. Some dudes who shall remain nameless, that in my personal opinion, but not actuality, just my personal opinion, always got their, got their friends, their UFC friends, the fans of UFC, yeah, they're boys, and the people that live in their town that ask them, why you cover boxing? Boxing's not any good. UFC is where it's at. Because why the fuck would they always keep caring so much about what the UFC is doing? Dude, real boxing fans don't give a shit about the UFC. I keep hearing that shit. Like, oh, the Charlo fight was going up against the UFC. Who cares? If you guys wouldn't have told me that it was going up against the UFC, I wouldn't have known. Because I'm a boxing fan. Boxing, let me fucking trolls. Boxing has fans. UFC has fans. Okay? If you don't know any UFC fans, you don't know about their event. If all you know is boxing, that's what you watch. That's the only thing you know about. That's why hardcore fans are so important. But see, they don't hang out with hardcore fans. They must hang out with people that, because they're always talking about baseball. They're always talking about baseball and the UFC, worrying about the UFC and what Dana White has to say and all that bullshit. Like, who cares? I had heard the guy that fought on UFC against at the same time the Charlo brothers did. Dog, literally, I did not know any. I'd heard his name before. That's it. But he is definitely not somebody. Even if there wasn't a Charlo fight, I wasn't buying that pay-per-view. I'm not buying a UFC pay-per-view. For what? I am buying. It doesn't matter when they schedule that shit. I'm watching a boxing match, dude. This is boxing fans. But they don't deal with boxing fans. They spend most of their time up the nose of fucking promoters and wishing that they would get a job covering baseball or covering some shit like that, man. Because how do these dudes keep missing the fucking boat on everything? Like, they really, like, if you take them seriously, and you read and listen to what they say seriously, and you don't say, okay, there's some logical reason why these guys are not talking about the Charlo fight, right? Not talking about Jermell Charlo and Jermell Charlo. You know, there's some logical reason why they're not doing that. Oh, what could that be? Oh, well, the networks, like, you know, if you didn't just do something and try to figure out what their motives were, and you just looked at the fact that they didn't talk about it, and they talked about the price and not the fight, you know who they sound like? Nagging fucking girlfriends. Nagging girlfriends who give a fuck about what you spend your money on. Why do you care if I spend $75 on this fight? It is a 2-fight fucking deal with Jermell and Jermall and Daniel Roman and Brandon Figueroa and Luis Nery. And I haven't had a good fight. I haven't seen a good fight in like 6 months. What's wrong with me buying that fight? That's all they talked about. That's all the boxing media, these boxing media dudes talked about. How are you not a troll? Help me understand. How does that not sound like you don't like boxing and you're a bit of a troll? Because you're worrying about my money. You're acting like somebody whose job it is to tell me to pay for fights from fighters. You're telling me not to buy it because you wonder about the economic climate and the money. You don't give a fuck about people's money. Shut up. You care about the fact that, like that troll Manic said, that you have a functional relationship with the press. Man, get up out of here, dude. And now, while Chris Mannix, and my saying that those guys are trolls, dude, Chris Mannix the same thing, dog. Stands up there right next to what's that dude's name? Sergio Mora. Dude, Sergio Mora is a former world champion. Dude, been in the ring damn near his whole life, from what I understand. And you're really debating about what a guy needs to do in the ring to win a fight? What, didn't you go to like journalism school at Boston College? You're not a boxer. You know how to structure sentences properly. That's what they do. That's why I'm saying, dude, they are trolls who write well. But they're not going to guide you through the sport of boxing. They're not going to, and the fact that maybe it isn't that they didn't, you know, that they just being haters on the Charlos. Maybe they really just don't know. Maybe it's not that they're just up the butt of Monster Inoue. Maybe they just don't know. So it's either they're dishonest or inept, but it's one or the other for damn sure. They are either dishonest or inept. And again, for the mystery person out there, the mystery person that a major website quoted without naming in some troll ass article, put your proof out there and then let people go through it frame by frame. When he nods his head like this, make sure he doesn't nod his head because somebody's pouring water on the back of his neck. Because you know, when you're hurt in boxing, people pour water on the back of your head and on your neck. And you know, the fighter might do his head like this. He also might have had a concussion. He might have had some internal bleeding for all the fuck we know, because he was getting shit beaten out of him. But I say state your case. Key Sims, salute Fannon in the chat, man. Salute to you, man. What's good with you? I hope all is well, as usual. But look, man, we're going to cook a little bit today, man, because these dudes is like real ignorant. Real ignorant. Ashley, man, what is going on? Ashley North. That gut punch was equivalent to a soft thump to the ball sack. It looked soft, but it was enough to get the job done. Oh, and it was an accumulation of punches too. Much love in that super chat. Thank you for holding the chat down. It is yeah, it was an accumulation. It was an accumulation. So these dudes, just the troll thing, it's not old, it's consistent. But I think we just need to broaden our idea of where you will see trolling. The entire media coverage of Jermell Charlo and Jermell Charlo, that was trolling. I really think that they did a lot of that price shit because Paulie Malignaggi got fired. I think that shit had a lot to do with Paulie Malignaggi getting fired. And those guys just had a quiet boycott of the Showtime pay-per-view because they were like, no, you can't go firing our colleague for his freedom of speech. So if you are going to threaten journalists, like Paulie's a fucking journalist or something, but they considered him one, because they sat on panels with him or whatever. But they violated Paulie Malignaggi's right to be a flat out fucking racist and risk isolating the people that are actually buying the Showtime fights. Not the people that they want to buy the Showtime fights, like their friends who they really wish, their buddies who they really wish would come to the boxing match with them so that they can see how famous I am at boxing. Like, God, got all these Negroes out here in the all these Negroes and Mexicans watching this fight, and none of my buddies come. They're all over there at the UFC. I want to cover the UFC. That type of attitude is what half of those dudes seem like, man. I want to be at the fucking baseball game, man. Be in this fucking boxing. I just can't get a job doing the other shit. Michael James 616 said, I'll take dishonesty for 100. Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. You know what I mean? For sure. There's a lot of dishonesty there. For sure, there's a lot of dishonesty. There's also a lot of you work for the promoters. And a lot of that shit is absolutely purposeful. Because it's not the press. It is public relations. So for the people that wanted to talk about that stuff related to Jermell Charlo, what's the proof that Jeisen Rosario took a dive? And that is Jeisen Rosario taking a dive, not Jermell Charlo cheating. So even if he did not respond and he could have, what fuck difference does it make? Because I can go through all kind of boxers that got knockouts with guys that did not try to fight back, like Sergey Kovalev and Canelo Alvarez fight. Dog, did he look like did Sergey Kovalev not look like that shit looked like, okay, he braced for the punch and started falling before it landed type shit. You know what I mean? So, dog, there's all kind of people that got real funny looking knockouts in the sport of boxing. That's not the same thing, though, as cheating. That's not the same thing, and it's not the same thing necessarily. I mean, it is a type of fixed fight if they agree to do that at the end, but it's not a fixed fight if a fighter is just like, I can't win this fight, I'm getting killed, I'm going to pick up my check, and then they decide not to keep fighting. That doesn't mean that the fight is fixed. So even if you could come up with the video evidence, then you have to somehow magically, you know how YouTube is losing your super chat? Hey, Hater to Love It said, Rosario did not take a dive, shake my effing head. Media can be real irritating. That's what I'm saying, love it or hate it, that's not media. That's a troll. That's not the media, that's a troll. Dre's finest. They all are dishonest when it comes to black fighters. Man, or blind is a mother bat. I gotta go slowly through these chats as I roll down so I do not miss your super chats. I apologize. What's going on, man? CJ Alexander, Tribe of Judah in the building. What's good with you, man? Salute to you, sir. All right. Yeah, so we down at the end of this. I don't think I've missed anything else. Sir, AC Kovalev took a dive. I would say again, show me the proof. And then you got to connect it to Canelo. I just think Sergey Kovalev was like, nah, I'm not fighting no more. I'm an alcoholic. I'm slow. I hurt this dude, but nah, I'm not going to get the decision. Who knows? But that shit's not on Canelo. It's not on Canelo. Now, the fight might be on Canelo, and the fact that he's up there fighting him and not at 160 where he should be, fighting either Demetrius Andrade, Gennady Golovkin, or Jermell Charlo. It's very simple for Canelo Alvarez. He has 3 choices of fights that he can take. Pick one, dude. Demetrius Andrade, Gennady Golovkin, or Charlo. Pick one. This nigga, all this, maybe I'll go fight Dave Allen, or maybe I'll go fight this guy, and maybe Billy Joe Saunders on a Wednesday in Afghanistan. Man, fuck all that, dude. You are the only belt that dude has is the WBA 160-pound belt. If he is the champion, Canelo Alvarez is a champion because he has the WBA 160-pound belt. Fucking fight somebody at 160, okay? And I don't care. I mean, hopefully, he'll get through. He'll be able to get out of that agreement with his agreement with a Golden Boy, which can ease it up. But dog, it's just straight time, dog. Just do it. You gotta just fight him, dog. Fannon, what do you think of Charlo Andrade? Then it would be a good fight. I'll take it. On the real though, the fight that needs to happen is Jermell Charlo, because Jermell Charlo got ducked by Canelo, and Sergey Deverenchenko got ducked by Canelo, and Jermell beat Sergey Deverenchenko. So not only did Canelo duck Jermell beat somebody else that Canelo ducked. He cleaned off the plate for Canelo. Because ain't got to worry about Deverenchenko no more. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Got him out of there. Even though I think that, because Gennady Golovkin didn't get him out of there. Gennady Golovkin, a lot of people thought lost. A lot of people thought Gennady Golovkin lost that Deverenchenko fight. But anyway it goes, dog. That's the only time that these trolls get excited, is for something like a Gennady Golovkin. Acting like Gennady Golovkin won them damn fights. Man, get the fuck up out of here, dude. It's like, you know what I mean? How they do you, man? How they do you? Mel Brazil said, Fannon, that was a straight jab to the solar plexus. Yes, but dude, Mel Brazil. Beniz Rodriguez. Sorry for sorry that you don't know the rule. But that question gets answered and blocked every time. Okay? Every time. Who has he fought? Go get box rec. Dumbass. Go get box rec and come the fuck back. How about that? Catch me outside. How about that? You know that little chick you say, catch me outside, catch me outside. How about that? Okay. Catch me the next time you come back with a chat with a different name. If you do not know who somebody has fought, go look it up and then come back with a question about it so we can discuss it. I know who he fought. So should you. This is not your fucking personal classroom. I'm not going to pull out box rec and go through it for you. I'm going to throw you the fuck out and give you a speech about it. So hopefully people will recognize that that is the one consistent thing, along with calling me out my name with some N-word, which is already blocked, that will get you thrown up out of here. Asking me who somebody fought. Because that means you are a casual boxing fan and you should not be talking. You should be sitting your ass in the middle of the fucking ear slut section with the rest of them. Who is he fought? Nobody cared about what you think. If you don't know who they fought, how could you have an opinion about them? And if you don't have an opinion about them, then what you doing talking? You got to go, man. Stop that stupid question. Put it to death, okay? Put it to death. Let nobody ever utter those ridiculously overused way of cheating in a debate, the overly used debate tactic called who have they fought, which takes you through hours and hours of endless loops about this guy fought that guy and this guy fought that guy and who did this guy fight, all that dumb shit. This leads you into a murky area of purely opinion. Okay? Purely opinion when you do that. So you have to go because you're trying to fight low. And we all know, so get the fuck out. You casual hoe. I jumped out. I rhymed so much, I jumped out. Bernard Burton said, I hate that question. Yeah, that's the worst. It's the most sucker move. It's the introductory sucker move into boxing debate. And another thing they want to do is they want to try to go names and dates with you and try to get you because you might have said something was the wrong date or it was the wrong weight class, or, you know, like you guys are fucking encyclopedias. And if you were encyclopedia, the fuck you wasting your time memorizing all that shit for? That last part's a joke. But memorizing it, nah, man, get the fuck up out of here with all that dumb shit. Yes, sir. What is this? Man, Mr.T King, Texas. Man, much love in that super chat. Say, yeah, get to stepping. Yeah, it's like it's the biggest sucker move that there is. And it's a banishment upon it. Committing that atrocity of a question in a boxing debate should always be met with immediate timeout or expulsion. If I catch it, it's expulsion. Get out. You gotta go. I don't want to hear it. It's the most rookie shit ever. Dog, look, man. What do you fuck out of here, dude? That's an hour and a half discussion in all kind of different ways. What is your point, dog? And prove it. Now, who is he fought? Not how good is he? You know what I mean? How would they perform against each other? How is he going to deal with his size? How is he going to deal with his speed? How are you going to deal with his youthfulness? You know, how did he look in his past fights, right? That's why you guys like how people, that's what I'm telling you, it's a troll shit. Like you try to tear down fighters like that. Like who did he beat? So Deontay Wilder knocks out, how many people Deontay Wilder knocked out? 40 out of 42 fighters. He's got a 95% knockout, like a 90, was it like a 95.2, something like that knockout percentage. Gotta be one of the highest in boxing history. And you guys are, who's he fought? As if he lost to any of them. He knocked 40 of them out. What difference does it make who they are? None of them are showing you that he can't fight. None of them. All you're telling me is, I don't value them very much. No, you don't value Deontay Wilder very much. Because I can walk down the same list. I can walk down your fighter the exact same way. Who did he fight? Well, then who did he fight? Well, he fought Luis Ortiz. Well, who did Luis Ortiz fight? Well, Luis Ortiz fought Dave Allen. Well, that is, see, exactly. He's a bum. But Dave Allen fought I believe he might have fucking fought Anthony Joshua. Fought one of them dudes. But who can, that's different because, it was a different time in the career. All that bullshit, dude. Just no, you're trying to do something crazy. Anyway, back to this boxing stuff. That is a pet peeve of mine, and I do go real crazy. But it's a response to Glovegate. Also, so on one part, it is the boxing media. That guy's a troll, really, but it does spread to other people. Chris Penix reported that what did he report? Something about on DAZN too. I think he reported it on DAZN. Or was it in a tweet while he was on DAZN? I can't remember. And it might have been both. But something about Adrian Bronner punching Gervonta Davis's employee or Gervonta Davis punching Adrian Bronner's employee, one or the other. But some stuff that was just blatantly not true. But as far as they knew at the time, Chris Mannix said it to more people than will be able to hear the truth after the fact. And that's hard for me to believe that a guy like Chris Mannix doesn't know that. Much love in that super chat. Kenneth Johnson in the building, sir. Thank you. Fannon, Joe Louis hit Max Schmeling with the same shot to the solar plex and paralyzed him against the rope. Oh, yeah. The obviousness of that is just, Kenneth Johnson, that would be too much like right to give them the answer ahead of them showing their proof. Which is why I'm not going there. You see, Kenneth, you want to, and I understand this because you're not trying to body bag these dudes. You're just trying to go right to the point and explain what it is. And I appreciate the super chat. What I want to see these guys do, though, is I want to see them wiggle and wither and sputter and embarrass themselves, actually trying to convince somebody that he took a dive. After all the punishment he took for those rounds and having been dropped 2 times and having been beaten to a damn near pulp 2 rounds before it. Come on, man. And then the solar plex, yes, that shot to the stomach on a dead man will knock a dead man down. He might not have been wanting to even get out of the damn, might not have been able to want to get out of the corner. Boxing World says 100% fix. Hey, prove it. Where's your proof, Boxing World? Where's your proof? You don't have any, so we'll move on. There's no photo of it. Now, if you'd like me to show you some proof of an accusation. I can demonstrate it for you, though. I know y'all ain't used to. I know that y'all ain't used to doing that. But if you like, I can do it. Oh yeah, you heard him gasping for air. Man, that dude was beat, dog. That dude was in danger. Dog, he was in danger from that whooping, man. He was in danger. His body said, no motherfucking mas. That's what happened. That's the truth. That's what I saw. I saw a man get beat up so bad, his body said, no more. His body said, no more. That's what happened. It wasn't just the jab. The jab was just something serious. And it's more powerful than people give it credit for. But if he would have hit him with the same shot in round one, he wouldn't have got the same reaction. He could hit him on the same spot with the same punch in round one, which he might have done. He might have done because he landed that jab to the stomach before, but he didn't get that reaction before. No mas Charlo. That was nah, dog. But hey, if it is a straight up dive, then prove it. What I saw was a man get everything taken out of him. That's what I saw. Excuse me. I saw a man get beat so bad that his body said, no, I can't do it no more. Okay, stop. Like you black out. Like his body was like, no more. I am not moving another fucking inch or I'm going to die. No, sit your ass down. That's what his body told him. Okay, he wanted to keep fighting. His body said no. His mind said no. No, his body said no. See, Teddy Atlas is full of shit with that. His body said no. He was convulsing. He was convulsing. His stomach was wop, wop, wop. He was trying to get up and he couldn't. He tried to turn over and he couldn't. Dude, his body said no. That is bullshit from Teddy Atlas. That is bullshit. Or put it this way, there is no proof whatsoever or no reason to believe that that was his mind that kept him from getting up. Dude, if your knee goes out, you cannot stand up. Your mind is not going to move you. Okay? Your mind is not going to do it. Your body says no. Your body says no. You're not going to think your way out of that. So Teddy Atlas politely calling him a quitter is just a way to detract from Jermell Charlo. And it is, once again, cash money bullshit. And shame on you for spreading it. Shame on you for spreading it. It is nobody's discounting Canelo Alvarez's win over Amir Khan. None of they are. None of those guys that are like, he's number one, he's number one. None of them are saying anything about James Kirkland, Amir Khan, Julio Cesar Chavez. Dude, his first really big solo pay-per-view was Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who was a bum and remains a bum to this day. Was a bum, is a bum to this day. Pretty sure he had lost. Already. He landed a shot on a broken down Sergio Martinez, and all of a sudden, he landed one fucking punch and had 1.5 decent rounds against a one-legged Sergio Martinez. And that catapulted Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. into a fight, a pay-per-view fight with Canelo Alvarez. It's a fucking joke. It's a joke. It's a joke, and they don't say anything about it. Rocky Fielding is a joke. DAZN paid $35 million for somebody like Rocky Fielding. And the same people that want to complain about $75 pay-per-views say nothing about how much DAZN paid. You're crazy for paying $75 for the Charlo card, but they're smart businessmen for paying $35 million for Canelo versus Rocky Fielding. And they were willing and pushing for Callum Smith and Canelo Alvarez. But they got a problem with Jermell Charlo, Jason Rosario, Jermell Charlo, Sergey Deverenchenko, Brandon Figueroa, Luis Nery, Daniel Roman, all on the same card. But they ain't got no problem with them paying Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. to fight some dude in Mexico while he was on suspension in the United States. They air the fight for a suspended fighter. My understanding, if I recall correctly, is that he's a suspended fighter. They charge me for that fight, and an undercard of his 58-year-old father fighting in a shirt and headgear as a follow-up to some other bullshit that they had me pay for because I'm on a subscription, right? So I paid for it. I paid for KSI versus Paul Logan. I paid for that nonsense. I paid for Eastman versus Liam. I can't tell you how many bullshit fights I paid for on DAZN. Under the hopes that I was going to get a very good one, of which I think I have received 3 times in 2 years. 3, maybe 4 that I think were worth paying for. But really, nothing that I wouldn't have got with my HBO subscription and my Showtime subscription that I already had. So I wound up paying more because if we did not have DAZN, the same fights would be on ESPN or they would be on HBO. We're not getting anything new out of DAZN. Not getting anything new out of DAZN. However, they want to complain about $75 for a fight card where I enjoyed every fight that I watched. I enjoyed every fight that I watched. Now, if every one of those fights were on like a Tuesday night and I had some other shit to do, I might have caught that one later. You know, I might have to see that or might check that highlights out on that. I got some other shit to do. But as an add-on to where I know the next fight is something I really want to see, when you put fights in their proper place, the fights have more value. Like, instead of acting like Superfly 1 and 2 is some major fucking event that needs to be a standalone, it's not. But you put them little motherfuckers on the undercard of a major fight card, like an Errol Spence Jr., Danny Garcia, and then you get, another good fight like maybe a Jaron Ennis versus Virgil Ortiz, and then below that you get the fights like Juan Carlos Estrada versus Chocolatito 3. Then that has value because it's in its proper place. You're telling me that that's an add-on to some shit I'm already doing, and you're giving me some shit that's better. You're not trying to sell me some side item shit is my main course, okay? When there's a main course in a meal, so should a pay-per-view be the same thing. I need at least a 7-course meal. We're gonna start with the little scrappy shit, right? Gonna give me some fucking some calamari or some shit, you know. Give me some calamari or a salad and some calamari, right? So the salad and the calamari is them little booger weight dudes. Okay, so you give me my little booger weight dudes. We get that out the way first. All right. Then we start moving into, we get closer to, you know, the main course. But then the main course got the steak, which is like the Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua. And it's got his potatoes that are there, which are like, you know, a good solid. Damn, what's a good solid one to go with that in the welterweight division? Something like a Sean Porter versus Keith Thurman 2, right? Sean Porter versus Keith Thurman 2, right underneath the Deontay Wilder Anthony Joshua fight. And then after that, you get you a good light up and coming lightweight like a Devin Haney versus Yuriorkis Gamboa, right? Then after that, you get these booger ass dudes that don't nobody give a fuck about, like Monster Inoue. You know what I'm saying? That's how those cards should be, because that will give you the most interest. And then people can have more interest in the little guys because it's not like they're being sold a bill of goods with them. You're not trying to convince me that this guy who literally is too fucking short to get on a goddamn roller coaster is somebody that is the best fighter in the world. Monster Inoue, literally, dog, there are rides at the motherfucking park that this dude is too short to get on. Because they're like, you know, that little revolving shit that spins around you really quick and you get sucked to the side? They think this motherfucker might fall off because his ass only weigh 102 pounds. Come on, man. This motherfucker needs a booster seat to drive down the street. No, that's not something where you're going to see people go walking by. And it never historically has been. Joe Gans, who was a little bit itty bitty, you know, burp weight dude like that too, right? Back in when fought on the undercard of John L. Sullivan. That's how little regard. That's how I'm telling you. That's what those weight classes are for. When you have a big card, you can't have all the big good fights on the big card. So you get them little lily butter motherfuckers to entertain you while you wait for the real motherfuckers to come out. But ESPN want to sell that shit like these little itty bitty dudes are really what you want to see. No, they're not, man. That's why they're not very many of them in the world. Because what percentage of the population is that fucking small? Just stop it. But you want to sell them instead of selling the real fighters. Sell the real fighters that people want to see. The big ass dudes where you can see. Come on, man. Stop conning people. That's that shit. That's that con man shit. And it's just been going on too long, man. Goes on too long. If in basketball, straight up, and I mean it. If in basketball, they did what they did in boxing with the heights of the, get the fuck out of here. You're not going to have a 5-2 and under league. You know what I'm saying? All right, well, we're going to have the 5-2. Man, they ain't, dog, come on. Hell no. Hell no. Nobody looking at that like, oh, we're going to have a separate league. No, you need the big dudes because they ain't not interested in how good you are, relatively speaking. You know what I mean? Dude, that's the idiocracy really of the of that pound for pound stuff. Because that's exactly what it is. It's like, you know. Anyway, it's just some old, you know, what you think about it shit. Mr.T in Texas said, to hell with the zone. I'd rather spend my hard-earned money with the LDBC. Y'all actually have content. I want to see 100% facts. Yes, sir. Man, because we will talk this boxing, man. Much love in that super chat. Thank you so much for holding it down, man. Thank you, Mr. T King Texas in the building. The great Joe Gans fought his entire career dying of tuberculosis. Yeah, it's a tough little dude, man. That's a tough little dude. That's a tough, hard life for a lot of people, man. Yeah, exactly. The top rope. Dog, when you can't get your leg over the top rope, or better yet, when you can't get your leg over the second highest rope, you in the kiddie leagues, man. Ain't nobody trying to hear that, man. But I'm telling you, the reason, much love, Jordy King, man. Much love, and shout out there to the UK, man. And that's why they try to sell that little shit. Man, that is a domestic league in Japan, okay? Stop it with those weight classes. Those weight classes shouldn't even really be considered like professional boxing. 105, 108, 112. They shouldn't even really be considered that because it should just be a domestic. That's like a European league that people fly into. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck up out of here, man? It's literally like a carnival fucking circus type shit when it's compared to like the real boxing where people are normal sized and everybody in the world can compete. It's like a little section of boxing cut off for the special education kids. You know what I mean? And that's no disrespect to the Special Olympics, but it's kind of like what it is. It's like the itty bitty motherfucker league. You know what I mean? Like none of the same fucking rules should apply. You know, you shouldn't get credit for it when you're comparing it to welterweights. You shouldn't, because they're just too fucking small and there are too few of them. There's just not enough competitive people. The athletes are not at that weight. The athletes, the human body functions best at normal fucking heights. And that just ain't it. Now, if you might think, oh, you're just being a height discriminator. No, I am not. Okay? No, I'm not. There's just as a percentage, not enough of them. If you go down BoxRec and you look at how many fighters there are at 105 pounds, you will see that once you get past 100, you have page after page after page of guys that do not have more than 2 fights on their resume. Not more than 2. Pages and pages of them. I suspect that at least 96% of fighters that fight at 105 pounds do not have more than 2 professional fights. Definitely do not have more than 3. And I doubt very much that there is more than 5% of all the fighters at that weight class that have more than 10 fights. How competitive can the fucking weight class really be? When welterweight has thousands of fighters with double-digit fights. Thousands. Like 1,200, 1,300 of them have double-digit fights. Do you get the difference in the depth of the weight class? Not only just because of the size, because there's just a bigger pool of people to do it. It's not a lot of jockeys in the world, but the boxing media wants to play like it's an even playing field between Monster Inoue doing what he did and Terrence Crawford doing what he did. Terrence Crawford is at 135, where there are, again, thousands of fighters with double-digit wins. Monster Inoue gets a weight class at 108 where there might be 30 of them. You know, might be 50 of them with double-digit wins. But 95% of them do not. That is just the rookie leagues, okay? And you're giving Monster Inoue credit for a weight class that is so specialized and so small and has a depth pool and has such a shallow talent pool that damn near any grown man that after the age of 18 can still weigh 105 will dominate, because most of the people he's going to fight are going to be guys that are 13 years old lying on their fucking application saying that they are 19 because they can go get a fucking paycheck because they're sitting outside on the street, right, in Thailand. And this is very real what I'm saying. This is not any type of condemnation of any type of people, but it's just a fact that they be putting on these fights, gambling in Taiwan or gambling in Asia like they do everywhere else in the world, because That's how people make a lot of money off boxing. And they snatch a kid out onto one of these cards, and they're like, we need somebody at 105 pounds. But you can't fight legally under the age of 18. So they could get a 13-year-old, give him a fucking give him a pack of fucking donuts and a couple pesos, Philippine pesos. They go in there, say they're 18 when they're really only 14, and they lose a couple fights to a guy that might actually be 20 or 21, but he's just the same weight as the little kid. Do you see how ripe for bullshit that is? But they're acting like those fights for Manny Pacquiao. Like Manny Pacquiao got knocked out of those little weight classes. Why? In defense of Manny Pacquiao. Because he was a little kid. Because he was a little kid who had not been fully grown, that probably ran into somebody that was a grown man or stronger and more mature and got him early because it was earlier weight class. If he was a couple years older and stronger and bigger, say at a natural weight class for him, like 126 or 130, right? Because that's where Manny Pacquiao really was, 126, 130. But when he's a little itty bitty kid, again, what was he fighting for? Packs of donuts and a couple fucking pesos out of the street with no fucking training. He wasn't with Freddie Roach. He wasn't even with his original promoter at the time before he came over. Somebody over there probably found him after some fights, got him some championships, and once he got the championship off of his natural ability, he got knocked out with somebody with some experience. But anyway, that's what I'm saying. All that little itty bitty kid shit, getting people victories in that type of way. It's almost like it's like these multiple Olympics for guys that are fighting. And how do you get to your third Olympic? How do you get to your second Olympics? You know what I mean? Like the Ukrainian, like for example, you ever notice how they never mention the fact when like guys like Paulie Malignaggi and these guys say that the Eastern Europeans are dominating boxing? You ever notice that they never mention that why they say that they get there in so few fighters, so few fights? Right? Like Vasily Lomachenko got there and, he only has 12 fights, period. Right? And Usyk might have a few more, but say he's got 18, 19 fights. I don't remember, but some small amount, right? And then you have these other guys that get it really quick. Do you ever notice that they never talk about the age of the fighter? And how when they come, they're 25, 26, 28, almost 30 years old? Well, what were they doing when they were in their developmental phases of, say, like 19, 20, 21, 22? They're fighting with headgear on for 3 rounds, being very protected during the same chronological time that other fighters, professional fighters, like say take a Devin Haney. Devin Haney's actually fighting in Mexico with no headgear on against professional fighters, right? Or Gervonta Davis, who turns pro at 18 and is fighting fighters from 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. It's almost, that's why people forget. Like take Vasily Lomachenko and Terrence Crawford. Vasily Lomachenko and Terrence Crawford are the same age. They basically won their titles at the same time. If they were American, they would have came out of high school at the same time. What was the difference? Vasily Lomachenko had his bills paid by the Boxing Federation of Ukraine, and Terrence Crawford had to go pro because he would have had to cover his expenses to go to amateur tournaments. He would have to cover it, or somebody associated with him would have to cover it. So he's not protected. He goes in and fights lower level professionals for several fights, right? During the same time that Vasily Lomachenko is fighting rank amateurs. Rank amateurs. Much more often, taking much less punishment, and has a much lower chance to lose. So Vasily Lomachenko was actually protected while Terrence Crawford was not. So if you think about that early protection, that early phase of a young fighter that's like a Shakur Stevenson, right? Shakur Stevenson may be 22, 23 years old, whatever he is, right? But watch, he didn't have a second Olympics. He's not coming out when he's 25. Just now. He's had multiple professional fights and multiple opportunities to lose. Where somebody his same age, same skill, would have been maybe the same level in the Olympics, gets the second opportunity because of the cost associated with it. And note that Shakur Stevenson, he was the silver medalist the first Olympics against Robinson Robisai. I always kill his name. But if he would have, what would have happened if he got another Olympics? He went to the Olympics when he was 23. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, man, I have a cold. That was my bad. Say he did it when he was 23. How much stronger would he have been in the Olympics when he's 23? How much stronger would he have been in the Olympics when he's 23? Much stronger. So even the guy that gets 2 weight classes would have a harder time if those same fighters were in the Olympics and not in the amateurs. So when people talk about, oh, he won an Olympics, well, what American fighter didn't go back for the second Olympics because he couldn't afford it? Straight question. Like, for example, was Jose Ramirez lose to Vasily Lomachenko the first or second time around? But let's assume that he lost the first time around. The first Olympics for Vasily. What happens if Jose Ramirez doesn't go pro, but Jose Ramirez is now older, right? More experienced, and comes back for his second Olympics, and he runs into Vasily Lomachenko. And now he's been in the ring twice with Vasily Lomachenko. The opportunity for Vasily Lomachenko to lose goes up because American fighters are actually having their best fighters do 2 Olympics. So if you try to even that up, you either take away the second Olympics and then make Vasily Lomachenko fight 4 years of fights before he was an Olympian, which would mean this. For example, if Vasily Lomachenko, I'm going to do a little. All right, so I'll look at the history of the belt. So when Vasily Lomachenko turned pro in 2013 against Jose Luis Ramirez, he fought for the WBO Organizational International Featherweight title. And the first one was for the WBO featherweight title. But let's go back 4 years. Let's go back 4 years to 2009 and see if 4 years before that who have I know what to do. Here, give me 1 second. This will be how I do it. What is it? Okay, so Vasily Lomachenko, right now he owns what? The WBA. All right, so in 3 years before that would have been 2009, right? Juan Manuel Marquez was there at that point in time. So how do you think Vasily Lomachenko would have done if he would have turned pro in his first fight after his first Olympics and would have fought not Orlando Salido for a world title, Juan Manuel Marquez? How do you think Vasily Lomachenko, a young Vasily Lomachenko, Not a 26-year-old Vasily Lomachenko, but a 21-year-old Lomachenko would have done against Juan Manuel Marquez in 2009, Nate Campbell in 2009, Juan Baby Bull Diaz. 4 years earlier, then he lost to Orlando Salido. Think about it. If he had not gone to a second weight class, if he had not gone to a second Olympics, he would not have had ain't no way in the world he would have been fighting for a world title. He would have sat for 4 years getting ready, which means he could have had 10, 11. He could have had 10, 11 with the way that they do younger fighters. More than likely, he would have had to have four fights a year for 3 years. Ain't that about right? So he'd have 12. He would have had to have had at least 17, 18 fights before they would have allowed him to fight against guys like that. The only reason that he was allowed to do it was because, number one, he was allowed to physically mature all the way till he was that age. But they don't allow American fighters to do that, which is why you get this skewed perception that Eastern European fighters are doing things faster. They're not. Vasily Lomachenko did not win a world championship faster than Devin Haney. He did it 4 years slower. Truth be told, he did it 4 years slower because he was 25 when he won it, and Devin Haney was 21. Do they draw that picture for you? Devin Haney is a world champion, WBC world champion. Teofimo Lopez is a IBF lightweight champion. Gervonta Davis is a three-time champion, twice at 130 with the IBF and the WBA, and a secondary belt. So a two-time champion at 130. Looking to be a three-time champion at 130 in his next fight. All at ages younger than when Vasily Lomachenko turned pro. All of that at a younger age than Vasily Lomachenko was when he turned pro. How in the world can you say that he did it faster? No, he did not do it faster. He had a far more cushy situation because he had a federation paying his bills, which allowed him to fight longer in the amateurs, gain more experience, and have less of a risk of losing. And then when he turned pro, after all of his competition was gone, right? Because he didn't turn pro. All of the competition he would have faced if he had went pro after his first Olympics, like Deontay Wilder did, like I do believe Gary Russell Jr. was in the Olympics, right? But like Pernell Whitaker did, like Sugar Ray Leonard did, like Muhammad Ali did, like Evander Holyfield did, like countless Americans did, turn pro after their first Olympic gold medal. If you would have had that if you would have faced that competition, all of those guys were gone by that time. Juan Baby Bull Diaz was already gone. Juan Manuel Marquez was already gone. Eric Morales was years older. Marco Antonio Barrera was already gone during that time frame where Lomachenko didn't exist. It's like he didn't exist because he was hidden behind that magical shield called fake real pro, fake amateur, really a pro system that protected him. And he became, and now he's an excellent fighter, but that system is what that system is. And if you listen to an interview that was given by Clarissa Shields, when she was taught, when actually it was a conversation between Clarissa Shields and Sergey Kovalev. He's Sergey Kovalev, who never won an Olympic gold medal, was just one of the top, was just on the national team for Russia. Said that all his bills were paid when he made the national team. And Clarissa Shields was like, damn, you realize how I had to win, like, she said she had to win like a gold medal before they did it for her. And they were like, shit, if they were going to get, and then she said, if they would do everything for me that Russia was doing for you, talking to Kovalev, they're like, shit, I might not have went pro. Shit, she might have been to 3 Olympics, 4 Olympics. They're going to pay you more money in the amateurs and pay all your bills and pay all your training. You guys act like he doesn't have that type of privilege. The fact that he's not from a country like the United States that don't pay for shit for boxers. Don't pay shit for boxers. Only people paying for athletes are crooked shoe companies. Those are the only people helping basketball players get any type of fucking extra training. And that's the truth about American sports. Unless it's somebody in the neighborhood that's crooked as shit, right? That thinks that if they pay you money, that they'll get a shoe deal down the road and they'll get their money back. Ain't nobody paying for you to do shit as an American amateur athlete, especially black athlete, because most of them don't got daddies or people in the house with the money to pay for it. And we would be surprised how many professional athletes there are now in the NBA that come from homes that have former NBA players in it. That's not because of the talent, dude. That's because they had the money to take care and get the kids the proper training and to keep them out of trouble and to make sure that they're technically sound. Steph Curry is Steph Curry because Steph Curry was sponsored by an NBA player his entire career. Same thing for Bron with LeBron James kid. Of course they're going to be balling. They got millions of dollars to buy all their training. But black fighters in the United States don't have that. So they got to go pro early and hope they can find somebody to pay their bills as a manager and give them a shot with some crooked ass contract that's going to take advantage of them for half of their fucking career. Because they don't have the option to just stay in the amateurs. But you think these media people tell people the true story? The real reason that, oh, Eastern Europeans are dominating black athletes. There used to be a time. Yeah, there used to be a time when there were gyms that people could go into and train that didn't cost a shitload of money. You're right. Yeah, absolutely. You got us. When the shoe companies weren't paying for the athletes early. My son belongs to a basketball team, and before they saw him play, they were asking this question. They were like, well, no, in order to be part of this team, it's going to cost like, to go to these national tournaments, it's going to cost like $1,000 a month for the next, 6 months a year, like $1,500 a month. I was like, hold on. It's going to cost $1,500 a month to get there? How the fuck is that kid getting there? Don't fucking tell me that my son, who's the same level of player as that kid, got to pay $1,500 a month, but that kid doesn't? Who's paying for that kid? And why do you think, and if somebody's paying for that kid, they paying for him too? Just tell me who the motherfucker is. You paying for him too. Fuck up out of here with this dumb shit. But boxing, that's how boxing works in Ukraine for boxers, because boxing is super hot in the Ukraine. And the amateurs is bigger than the pros. So they got a breeding ground of young kids fighting and doing all that stuff and getting it paid for. by a former Soviet bloc country that did not do away with the social aspect of sports, unlike the United States, where even the media won't support black fighters. And the media is trying to trick you with some bullshit stats. Yeah, numbers don't, man, please. Numbers don't lie, but people lie with numbers all the damn time. See how fast they won it? How fast? The fuck out of here. He's 26. Ali was 22. Vasily was 26. What are you talking about? Even Anthony Joshua. Shit, Anthony Joshua's ass is 28. Ali was 22. No, dude, it's a different thing. It's a different time, dog. It's a different time. But I ain't buying none of that shit. These same people trying to tell you that black fighters are getting dominated when they got 4 times as many champions. These media guys are just trolls. And even though it is truly self-promotion and I know it, you should leave them alone. Don't go to them dudes for that shit. That shit is trash. You know what I mean? It's just trash. It's trash on his face. It's trash on his face. But they have to do it because because we tap into people that really like boxing. So like, for example, there's 661 people in this chat. There are multiple other chats going on. I mean, a 40,000 view, almost 44,000 view channel. Numbers should tell you that I should have like 100 people in here. Maybe. 100 maybe. Because that's what Ring Magazine, what do they got over there? They got like 70,000, Ring Digital, and they get like 20 people. Why is that? They're bigger, right? No, they're not. Not that. That's not bigger. It just has a bigger number put up there. And that's what the media does. They try to mislead you, make you think something is the way that they want it to be. And the way that they want it to be is directly associated with what their interests are and who serves them the best. Because they are not boxing fans. They are journalists that get paid to write about boxing. And since they are journalists that get paid to write about boxing, you know what their primary skill set is. It is writing. Most boxing fans' primary skill set does not include eloquent writing for mass consumption. So they're going to be at odds with most boxing fans. Just by the nature of who they are. They are not talking about boxing because they want to. They're talking about boxing because they're getting paid to. And if you don't believe me, listen to what the percentage of the amount of time that they spend on Twitter and social media talking about boxing. If what they talk about is 50% boxing and 50% other shit, they only half care about boxing as it relates to their worldview, because that gives you an eye into what they think about and what they're talking about. If all somebody does is talk about boxing, then you know what their focus is. It is boxing, period. And what are they talking about in boxing? If they ain't talking about fighters and supporting fighters, they're talking about pay-per-views and how you shouldn't pay for the fight. Dude, that's because they're paid by the zone. So I just really wish people would stop watching them, stop paying attention to them, and let them go away, because it's just not real. It's just not real. Jordan King, much love in that super chat. I'm sorry, man. I know I'm running behind on super chats, man. But we just get Jupiter B in that building. He said Loma spent his entire 20s beating up teenagers and the amateurs with headgear. Loma was just turning pro at 26, while Tank was a 2-time champ at 23 fighting adults. Yet they say Tank's the one protected. You cannot say that any more beautifully. How is that possible? Let's do a parallel, okay? Let's do a parallel. I want to be a businessman, okay? I want to be a businessman. My friend Ulysses. My friend Ulysses wants to be a businessman too. And we're both 12 years old. And I say, hey, Ulysses, what do you want to do when you grow up? And Ulysses says, I want to be a businessman. I want to own my own business. And then I say, yes, Ulysses, I do too. I want to own my own business. And then we leave and we go on about our lives. I go to my private school, which is one of the top 50 schools in the nation, where my father went, who also is a CEO of a major Fortune 500 corporation. And Ulysses' father is a truck driver who is from Houston, Texas, that spends the majority of his time on the road, right? But a truck driver, good, well employed, good, solid job. This guy over here, millions. Now, I go to free school. He goes to free school. I go to a $45,000 a month boarding school. You see where this is going? And then I go to college. His father loses his truck, goes broke. Ulysses decides, I am going to sell something that is illegal. So he starts selling a bunch of stuff that's illegal. And he goes to jail. And he goes to jail at 18 years old, and he stays at 18 years. He stays there for 3 years. And he comes out. I go to Harvard Business School, and I come out at age 23, same time he comes out of jail. I get an internship with Mark Cuban in Dallas, my dad's friend, where I work under his wing for 5 years, while Ulysses comes out and starts putting out rap music and selling rap music at gas stations. Right? I start my own company, and at 30, I become a millionaire. At 30, Ulysses becomes a millionaire because he started a rap album. He owns 15 different car washes, right? And he married his girlfriend, who's a lawyer, who loved him all the time he was in jail, and she makes $500,000 a year. And we come together and we say, hey, man, how you doing, Ulysses? I am doing great. Started that business. I made $1 million. And Ulysses says, hey, man, how you doing? He say, man, hey, man, I started that business. I'm making $1 million. And my wife is bringing in $500,000. We both successful. We equals. Fuck out of here. We ain't equals. Fuck out of here. We ain't equals. Hell no. One guy got it from the mud. The other guy was protected and then took advantage of what he was given to be productive. Vasily Lomachenko is the guy that came up in a system where everything was paid for. Okay? Guy like Deontay Wilder came up from the muddy mud. Different altogether. Deontay Wilder becoming a heavyweight champion is much more significant an accomplishment than Vasily Lomachenko winning his Olympic gold medals and becoming a champion. Sorry, because of the resources that they had and the intentions of the people around them. Because Deontay Wilder had nobody that wanted shit for him, including people in boxing to this day. when Vasily Lomachenko was the belle of the fucking ball from the time he was 6 years old. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. Black fighters excel because in order to be successful, you have got to be great. You have to be. If Terrence Crawford were to beat Jermell Charlo, he would have to be great. Great. If Errol Spence Jr. is to get through all those black fighters that he's supposed to fight, and Danny Garcia, and Mikey Garcia, and a guy like Manny Pacquiao, who, by the way, didn't have an amateur career, he would have to be Hall of Fame level. It's much more important than the amateurs. Amateurs, that amateur crap when it comes to the professionals is nothing different than that saying, who'd you fight? Because just coincidentally, it protects you from who'd you fight. Because you can name who he fought, Lomachenko, but you can't name who he didn't fight when he was in the amateurs for the second time. Probably beating guys like Jose Ramirez, in teenage Jose Ramirez, an 18-year-old Jose Ramirez. How old is Jose Ramirez now? 26? What's Vasily Lomachenko, 32? He's like 6 years older than Jose Ramirez, ain't he? Vasily Lomachenko's 32. Hold on one second. What's this dude's name? Amir Imam, right? Amir Imam, right? Young Master got beat by this dude right here. Name, where'd it go? Jose Carlos Ramirez is 28. So he turns 29 in a couple months. And Vasily Lomachenko is 32. So it's 4 years difference. 4 years difference. At least 8 years. That was 12 years ago. Jose Ramirez, 12 years ago, was like 16 or 17, wasn't he? So he had like damn near, you had like a grown man fighting a 16-year-old Jose Ramirez. 17-year-old Jose Ramirez. Because Jose must have been pro before they moved that age limit up. And now American fighters can't even get in there until they're 19, which makes it an even bigger push to have Americans turn pro. Whole amateur system is skewed, dude. I ain't buying all that, dog. Man, that's a really good conversation going on in the chat. I see why so many. Let me check these likes, though. Come on, man. We got 630 people in the building. Can we get the likes up? Can we get them likes up? Would be greatly appreciated. Man, the Diesel said, one of my favorite Deontay Wilder quotes is, the problem is I earned mines, but they gave it to him. Yeah, absolutely. Now, some people you can give a lot to, and they can do a lot with what you give them. Floyd Mayweather Jr. is like that, right? Michael Jackson's like that. Yeah, I think guys like that are like that. They've been given a lot. In, like, for example, Michael Jackson got way more training, way more like emphasis in his life than Prince did, right? Because his father was a musician, his whole family were musicians. They got on at a very early age and was trained by Motown musicians and all of that. Stevie Wonder at a very early age, Marvin Gaye, Ray Charles, Sammy Davis Jr., like everybody that Michael Jackson could have possibly known in the entertainment industry, he knew by the time he was 14 years old. You know what I mean? He had years of training and knew everybody by the time he was 14 years old, and was completely comfortable with the environment, with the performance environment of it, versus Prince, who had to do a bunch of shit by himself, but did have access to a father. So, I mean, it just, people just have, like, so in boxing, Mayweather and those guys, I think, are people that have a lot of privilege as well. Devin Haney is a guy that has a lot of privilege, an amazing amount of privilege for a young fighter, man. Like, for real, an amazing amount of privilege for Devin Haney. Now, and that's a salute to his father, right? An amazing amount of support for Errol Spence, and a very, very intelligent father that got him to Derrick James that early. You know what I mean? So there are fighters that have that, you know, who really do have an insight into people that really know, that have the subject matter expertise, the institutional knowledge of the sport, is a wealth in and of itself. Whereas like somebody like Terrence Crawford, I mean, he had it. He had advantages to people in Ohio. I mean, excuse me, in Nebraska, in Omaha, Nebraska, and that his father was a fighter. And as a result of his father and his grandfather being fighters, his mother having familiarity with fighting, his grandmother having familiarity with fighting, the trainers in his neighborhood having familiarity with him, and knowing who his father was and what his potential could be. That was a lot of that's a lot of benefits as well for Terrence Crawford. You know, it's not convenient. A lot of people have these that really do excel, have, you know, they don't make it alone. They have a lot of things around them. But the amateur system in and of itself is skewed against Americans, because it's because there's no socialized part of it. Like the tennis, that's why black women do so disproportionately well versus their participation in women's tennis. Because once the Serena Williams and those guys prove that athletes, that you could take the athleticism and a black's athleticism and apply that to tennis, and then you have people who have daughters, like professional, either ex-professional athletes or ex, like, upper level college athletes who have the money because they've gotten access to the income, right? Like guys, people like Sloane Stevenson's mother had to have been doing well, but she was like a collegiate swimmer, and her father, I do believe, even though it wasn't part of her life all the time, I believe was like a college level athlete at Michigan. But you know, Serena Williams and them got a lot of money from people supporting them on the way up. There ain't no way they would have made it that far if they didn't have major backers at a very early age, because their father was so sophisticated, very, very sophisticated in seeking funding for them. And Serena specifically, because Venus was the big sell, because she was like 6 feet tall. Serena was more natural, had a more natural build. So if it was just her, she would have had a hard time making it, because people might not have said, oh, her potential is so big because she's 6 feet tall and athletic. So there's a lot of stuff that comes into play with the success of these athletes, man. Gervonta is very fortunate to know Adrian Bronner, you know? It's interesting stuff, man. But to discount that when you give people credit for what they've accomplished, I think is unfair. Also, when you're giving fighters credit, like for older fighters, these older fighters did have more access to better training and more regular scheduled fighting in the amateurs in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s than they do now. But we still make great fighters because the money's there. And since the money's there, the guys that are not the physical size necessarily, the physical size to play basketball, which is like 6'6" and above, dog, because you ain't 6'3", you can fucking write that shit home in basketball, you know? And you ain't like super fucking killer athlete. That's the only time, you know, or some real big dude. Those are the guys that'll gravitate towards boxing. and there's enough of them, and the institutional knowledge is still there, that we're going to dominate, that Americans are going to still wind up dominating everybody in the world, just like basketball, because we've got the institutional knowledge. You know what I mean? What they're doing with this, like what Paulie is pointing to, these, it's like basketball and these analytics. You know what I mean? Like analytics work if you're looking at the right numbers. But if people are concocting numbers and insinuating that they mean things that they really don't, and assuming that they mean things that they really don't mean, it throws all that analytical stuff off. So definitely in boxing, when you're like, look how fast he got the championships. Shit, look how fast he lost them. Shit, yeah, Vasily lost the championship fight in the second fight too. Ain't that a motherfucking accomplishment? Bring it all up. You know what I mean? Dr. J's daughter was a professional tennis player. Not because of Dr. J's raggedy ass, though. Because of her mama. Because Dr. J, she didn't even know Dr. J. I don't even think she found out that Dr. J was her father until she was in Wimbledon or some shit. That's like a super fucked up story. Like the media told her that shit. She didn't even know. You know what I'm saying? That was like super fucked up. I think that more than anything fucked up her career. That shit was fucked up. You know what I mean? Privilege is real. It makes all the difference in the world. It makes a lot of difference. But again, man, you can overcome all of that. But access helps, man. That's why you want to help young fighters. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with it. You just got to acknowledge it because, I mean, Vasily Lomachenko, I said all that to say that, to do the difference, but that's not to say that the Eastern European fighters aren't really good fighters and they're not the best fighters that come out of the Ukraine and that they don't deserve credit and that they're not doing excellent work over there. I think they do have excellent fighters for sure. Sergey Deverenko is an excellent fighter. Vasily Lomachenko is an excellent fighter. Wojciech was an excellent fighter. Kovalev at a point in time was an excellent fighter. Vasily Jurov was an excellent fighter. They got Dmitry Pirog was an excellent fighter. No, not saying they don't have excellent fighters, but unfortunately, our media spends a lot of time dragging our fighters' names. By neglecting them, right? They drag their names or dog them out by neglecting them. When you put damn near every Eastern European fighter that has a belt on a pound for pound list, that sounds real fucking awkward to me. You know what I mean? Real funny. If they have a three belt holder like Jermell Charlo that does not pop up on that list, but a guy like Gennady Golovkin that is way over the hilt stays on there, you got to start looking at it and be like, man, maybe you full of a little bit of that horse manure. And I think that they may be full of that horse manure. For sure. Hey, my man, Mr.T, man, thank you for holding down the chat, man. Mr. Highly trained adult getting accolades because he beat the most children in the amateur. That's what that is. When you're 25 years old in the amateurs and you're fighting guys that are, you're 23 in the amateurs and you're fighting 16-year-olds. You're a senior in college fighting sophomores in high school. No, man. Yeah, you are. And here's the thing. When you're fighting, the other guys aren't even done growing. So it's even worse. So it's not like Jose Ramirez. In order for Jose Ramirez to fight Vasily Lomachenko in the Olympics or in national competition, they have to be in the same weight class. And you can see that Vasily Lomachenko, you see the size Vasily Lomachenko is right now. That's 132 pounds. Jose Ramirez fights at 140 pounds. Dude, he wasn't even fully grown. He's 16 years old. He's not even fully grown. So you're not only are they younger, right? But the guy physically, even though they're the same physical size, one guy is literally physically developed. And the other guy is still like bones, you know what I mean? Skin and bones. He's still skin and bones, doesn't have his muscularity in. This guy has his full muscularity because he's a smaller guy. It's terrible, man. You're more awkward. You're more awkward. All kind of stuff when you're 16 years old. You can still be a great athlete, but a 16-year-old great athlete is not going to be anywhere near what that great 16-year-old athlete is when they turn 22. Just like look at the difference between Muhammad Ali when he was 18 years old in the Olympics and when he wins the championship at 22. Look at Floyd Mayweather Jr. when he wins the bronze medal in the 96 Olympics. But then look when he wins, look at what he looks like when he wins his first championship against Gennaro Hernandez. Look at the difference in their bodies. And it's about the same amount it's probably going to be roughly the same amount of time, about 3 years that you rapidly change, dude. So to be like a full-fledged, varsity football age, fighting against a guy in his sophomore year in high school, that's a mismatch just based on the age. They shouldn't even be doing that. Truth be told, that shouldn't even be you know what I mean? Now, what they're saying is that maybe the way that they fixed it was, well, we're now not going to let fighters, that are that young fight in the Olympics and they got to wait till they're 19. But what's going to happen there is the talented ones are just going to go pro. Like what happened. Money Powell didn't go to the Olympics. He went pro. Devin Haney didn't go to the Olympics. He went pro. Shakur Stevenson was a little bit older and slipped in and got in there, I think, when he was 19 and then went pro. Teofimo Lopez, he didn't make that. He wasn't quite old enough to get in when he was 19. He didn't turn 19 old enough. So he went pro. Whole bunch of people went pro that would have been in the Olympics if they had been on the national team and could have got their bills paid. But it just changes stuff up in the U.S. I'm glad you like the chat, man. We keep good numbers in here, man. We keep good people coming. I hope y'all like the chat. Tay Walker said, Fannon telling facts. Yeah, Fannon can't read for shit today, though. Lord of mercy. Can't read for shit today. Oh, hold on 1 second, man. I am fucking bugging. Way time bugging. Hold on 1 second. Sometimes I be forgetting when I got ish to do, but thank the good Lord that I got stuff to do. I tell you, man, I wake up every morning happy I got work to do. If you can get up and go to work, be very, very happy. It is most definitely in the world we live in a privilege. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. And we will let that roll. I said, look at track and field now. Back in the day, college kids dominated. Now the older, stronger pros totally dominate. College kids nearly never win anymore. Nope. But the good ones are not in college anyway. If somebody is going to go if somebody's nasty, why would they even stay in college for in track and field? They may stay a year, but they're going to be bouncing. You know what I mean? They're definitely going to be one and done there. If they're Olympic level, they the fuck up out of here, dude. UAA Ali Boso, man. Say, you ain't never lied. That's my man, Ali Voso. Say, you ain't never lied. Blessed to have a job. It's a blessing. Shit, it's a blessing. I get up thinking, man, look, for y'all, just so you know, y'all a blessing. Okay, this super chat there is a blessing. And I feel it. I really, really do. Which is why I try to share, what I get from the channel to other channels. But just understand, man, I appreciate these super chats, man. This economy is no fucking joke out in these streets, dog. Okay? So thank you guys very much for allowing your boy's head to stay above water. Because, hey, man, this shit can hit anybody and everybody, dog. And it's not hit my job. I'm blessed, but I'm doubly blessed that if something did hit it, that y'all support, man. Thank you guys so much. Really do appreciate you. LDBC power all day, every day, man. That's why I'm loyal, like they say, loyal to the soil. Loyal to the soil. Oh, S. Johnson said, I bought the pay-per-views. I bought the Charles pay-per-view and I was very satisfied, even though it was very expensive to me. Yeah, man, entertainment, man. People are satisfied with expensive things. That can happen. All angles matter, said Fannon. What are the chances the Porter actually moves up and fights Jermell? I still think Charlo wins. I put it somewhere around 20%. I think that it's legitimate. Like if he moved to 154, I think he would do it. But the reason why I would say that it is, I would only put it at 20% is because of the likelihood that he gets Errol Spence Jr. after the Danny Garcia fight. So I think something would have to happen where Sean Porter didn't feel like he was going to get the Errol Spence Jr. rematch on pay-per-view before he would try to do something like that and go up to 154. That's what I would think, because I'm like, what would put Kenny Porter and Sean Porter in a mindset where they would think that would be their best alternative, right, to something else, right? And that would be if they didn't feel like they could get a pay-per-view fight at 147, and that the Jermell Charlo fight would be a pay-per-view at 154 with a good split. So that's why I would say that I would put it somewhere around 20%, because I believe that there is an 80% chance that Sean Porter is going to get a rematch with Errol Spence Jr. after Errol Spence Jr. beats Danny Garcia, which I think is a 70-30 fight for me for Errol Spence Jr. I think the only way that I would say Danny Garcia was going to win that is if Errol Spence Jr. really is still hurt from that car accident, but I'm not going to assume that he is. I'm going to take his camp at their word and believe that they wouldn't put him in there that dangerous if they didn't really believe that he was good to go. And if he's really feeling good, you know what I mean? So I'm just going to give him that benefit of the doubt. So it's those things that I would take into consideration before, and that's why I would say, I would only give it roughly, thumb in the wind, 20% that it would take place. But if Sean Porter did go to 154, I think that it could then get up to 90% that he would fight him. Because I can't imagine Sean would go up in that weight class if he wasn't going straight for the belt. Because fucking around with them big boys for no good reason, when he could be fighting Sean Porter or when he could be fighting, Danny Garcia or Keith Thurman rematches or Ugas rematches to get in there with Harrison or something like that. Nah, dog, I don't see him doing that for light money. That's my take on it, though. Man, I had so much fun today. What you drinking, man? Nigga, you got some shit on your mustache? What the fuck you looking at me like this for? Nigga, you look like, you try to look mean. You look like you sniffing some boo-boo off your fucking mustache. Fuck, I'm drinking. Nigga, your wife's smegma. Fuck, I'm drinking. Fuck you think? Nigga, your tears when you find out is what I'm drinking. Fannon, You're killing us, sir, in a good way. Thank you, Gravy Davy. Thought I was going to resist that, dog. What the fuck is wrong with that, dog? Why these people? Shame. Oh, so you got to pay for the exposure to be a top player. You know how that works. But look, man, I'm going to get out of here. Much love to everybody in the chat, everybody in the super chat. Thank you guys so much for your day in and day out support. Please make sure you guys come back tomorrow and come back on Sunday morning for Fannon Live, where we're going to chop it up again early morning. And with that, I'm out. Hold on. Terrence Camp. This title is corny. Looking for views, clout to make money. Them boys put their blood, sweat, and tears into the sport, make sacrifices their whole life to get where they are. What the fuck are you talking about, you stupid motherfucker? I have just sat up. First of all, dummy, let's talk about view. Let's talk about corny. There is literally a boxing article, dumbass, that said this on a website, dummy. So, no, I do believe that the person that said it was corny and looking for views and clout for money, without a doubt. However, me pointing out that it's horse shit when boxing fans ask me to comment on it is me correcting bullshit. So, since I corrected your first bit of bullshit, Terrence Kemp, the third, and I don't believe you know third, okay? Because if you are a third, yo daddy definitely should have pulled out, and your daddy's mama should have fucking swallowed, okay? Going to the second one. Them boys put their blood, sweat, and I put my money into the sport. Fuck you talk about. I put my blood, sweat, and tears into the money that I paid them. I put my blood, sweat, and tears and sacrifices my whole life to pay the bills that I pay them to fight. So please get off your fucking high hog, dog. You think everybody else just has money fall out the fucking trees into their laps that they can give to Jermell and Jermell Charlo or something? Did you? Did you? I paid $75, you bum, for that fight. I paid $75, you bum, for that fight. That's my blood, sweat, and tears that I paid for before they did shit. Thank you very much. And it was me that had to pay first. Otherwise, I wouldn't have got to see it. So no, fuck their blood, sweat, and tears. If you say, fuck my blood, sweat, and tears, you know how hard it is to get money? Whatever, man. Nah, William Jefferson, that is nothing but fun. That is my square. I've got a troll square that I jump on. See, actually, William, people are getting me off my square when I'm polite. That is my natural home, to be talking to idiots like that. It is my joy. It is my pleasure. You know, like they say, like in Friday, rest in peace, John Witherspoon. Remember when he used to say, he was like, I'm a dog catcher. He's like, I hate dogs. And they're like, but you're a dog catcher. He's like, yeah, because I hate them. And I just get to grab a dog and I get to kick the dog. You know what I mean? I just grab it and I kick it. I hate dogs. I hate troll boxing fans. So I get to grab them and I get to kick them. I get to punch them. That's what I love it. I love it. Love every minute of it. Wake up in the middle of the night wanting to kick a troll. Wanting to throw somebody out my chat for saying something stupid. That's my pleasure. That's what it is. That's my pleasure. You know, that's my pleasure, dog. Ooh-wee. Anyway, Zachary said, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure to do that. Anyway, man, much love to everybody in the chat, everybody in the super chat. Make sure y'all go check out the other LDBC live streams coming up today, including my man KQKC Bison coming up next. And with that, we out. Peace. I like that show today, man. Holla.